Activate.
This is a Robot Wars video. And this is the custom-built flat specifically made for Robot Wars reviewing videos. 23 meters by 23 meters. I alone weigh nearly 9 tons. We'll get to the battles in a minute, but first, here's how the video works. We'll start with the Eliminators, introducing teams with our custom handmade stat cards before moving on to my top 3 of the head-to-head battles, and then rounding off with the final and this week's memorable moment. And with that, let's hand over to myself for the first Eliminators. Thank you very much, me. It is good to be back. So, the first of the 4-round melees kicked off with Killy Cranky, an unusually tube-shaped robot with a front cutting disc, weighed in at 108.7 kilograms, top speed of 9 miles an hour. It's powered by DC motors on 2-stage gearboxes, and some of the team comprised the original Pussycat team from Series 3 and 4, as well as its predecessors, Body Hammer. Next up, we have Nuts, one of the most bonkers thwack bots we've seen in some time. Lurid red, green, and some yellow in there as well. Its main weapons were a set of chain maces on a rotating, flailing, spinning thing. Basically 2 wheels on a box with a couple of cluster bots, which we are in the presence of robot royalty with Razor. Series 5 champions back in the day, as well as twice world champions. This is one of the most feared and most successful machines of the original run of Robot Wars. However, they ultimately came down to bad driving as Killy Cranky steered them over to the pit and they ultimately fell down with them. And just to round things off in this first round, we had Terahertz. Heavily revised since the last time we saw it, crashing out as the number 3 seed in Series 7, now weighing in at 107 kilograms. It's gone on to be massively successful in the circuit and proved itself to be just as violent as before. One of the setbacks that we saw from previous series is the axe wasn't able to fire as efficiently due to the cold climate conditions in Glasgow. And so we come to the second of the 2 Eliminators, and returning first and foremost were Bearmoth, the lurid yellow and black machine, captained by Anthony Pritchard. Since debuting in Series 2, has made a number of modifications, is currently on the 7th evolution of the machine. Same basic bucket scoop lifter structure, however they boast that it is much stronger than previous iterations. And the second of the axe machines coming in is Bonk, the successor to Series 7 wildcard newcomers Mute, this time getting rid of the flipper and going for something that hits instead. This machine weighs in at the maximum of 110 kilograms, is capable of an impressive 17 miles an hour, and is powered by 2 Bosch 750 watt motors. The machine itself didn't get to do a great deal, unfortunately. It got flipped over early on, gas started venting from it, and that was the machine out of commission. The penultimate machine we have to talk about is Carbide, again weighing at the maximum 110 kilograms. This one's slightly slower at 12 miles an hour, however, any lacking in speed is more than made up for by that horrendous spinning hammer weapon. And lastly we have the General, which despite looking like it is not in fact a newcomer. They entered the second series of Robot Wars with a machine called Spartacus. Again, this one clocking in 110 kilograms, 15 miles an hour was its maximum, and it had 2 interesting shaped spinning discs. They did make a bit of an impact in the battle, but unfortunately those exposed wheels were just too much. Ultimately, one of the wheels got torn off, and well, that was the end of that. And with that all done with, let's move over to my top 3 of the head-to-heads. At number 3, we have Carbide versus Terahertz. Now these are 2 very powerful machines. Terahertz was last seen doing well, like 13 years ago or something like that, where they managed to reach the grand finals at one point of Robot Wars. Carbide is a relatively new machine, in fact it's been custom built for this series. But when they start talking about objectives when they introduced the machine, you knew that these guys were out for blood, and they pretty much got it. Terahertz was pretty much the only machine that could actually stand up to this robot that we saw so far. Despite Carbide getting in blow after blow on that reinforced shell, Terahertz has a heck of a lot of experience behind it and ultimately was able to turn the battle and win it. Number 2, Terahertz versus Nuts. Okay, so a lot of people might argue that this wasn't a particularly good battle. I would disagree though, purely because of the tenacity that Nuts showed. In the previous battle, well, there were bits and pieces of that machine everywhere. They managed to go into the arena with something that should have essentially been carted out in a bin bag and last 3 minutes to take it to a judge's decision. They didn't win, but the fact that they were able to do that was utterly astounding. And number 1, as if nobody could have guessed it, it's Nuts versus Carbide. I was having a few flashbacks to Splinter versus Hypnodisc. That is another one of those uneven massacres that we've seen in Robot Wars history. If you don't know what I'm talking about, type that into YouTube. You'll quickly find out what I'm saying. The battle seemed to start relatively evenly. Nuts was kind of bumbling about with its two little mini-bots, and then Carbide was taking its time getting up to speed, but once it did, oh my god, did all hell break loose. That machine was dissected. It's almost castrated. See the pun there? Yeah, it's called Nuts. That's funny. At last we get to the final battle, which was Behemoth versus Carbide, and this was pretty one-sided, let's be bluntly honest. The two had already met in battle, and Behemoth had not come off well. In fact, it had been pretty badly smashed up. This hilarious moment where Behemoth basically backed into the pit, possibly as some kind of self-preservation thing? Don't really know, but it did basically look like them being like, get it out of here while it's still in one piece. Carbide, thank God, through to the series final, because, let's face it, that's gonna be fun to watch. Okay, that's us just about done. There's just time for this week's memorable moment, which has to be this.
Down goes the pit. This is damage limitation, and you're not gonna limit it. Not like that. Wow. Off comes the wheel.
Very much for watching, guys. If you guys are a Robot Wars fan, you've enjoyed the series so far, leave me a comment down below. Please make sure to like up the video because it helps with like searchability and all that nonsense that Google care about. And I probably should as well, but I've got biscuits, so I'm fine. But for now, guys, I'll just say, see you guys next time. See, that was the thing he used to do.
Cease.